Schengen at stake, Italy stuns US Conte reveals shock migrant plan at summit. The newly appointed Italian leader revealed his country had presented 15 leaders attending the European Union Migration Summit in Brussels with the new proposals. Giuseppe Conte told the press, "We are here to present the Italian proposal for a new migration policy. A completely new Italian proposal based on the new resolution paradigm to solve the migration issue. It's called the European Multi-Level Strategy for Migration, articulated on 6 premises and 10 objectives. It's aimed at proposing a timely regulation and management policy to control migration flows that is truly effective and sustainable. The new proposal demands EU member states accept their share of economic migrants entering the bloc through Italian shares or face a reduction of EU money. The document includes 10 points that Rome suggested would help manage the influx of migrants coming to the European Union, putting a strain on welcoming countries such as Italy. According to the current policy, countries welcoming refugees and migrants in the first place are charged with handling asylum requests. The new Italian plans insisted EU members have a joint responsibility to address the migrant crisis, suggesting that failure to work together would put the Schengen area at risk. Mr. Conte continued, "It's a proposal aimed at completely surpassing the Dublin Agreement. We believe that agreement is based on emergency logistics, but we want to tackle the issue structurally. Our public opinion demands it." The Italian proposal said, "Who arrives in Italy, lands in Europe, the rescue obligation cannot become an obligation to process asylum requests on everyone's behalf. Each state establishes entry quotas for economic migrants. It is a principle that must be respected, but adequate countermeasures must be provided for funding with respect to states that do not offer welcome to refugees." EU leaders rushed to Brussels for emergency talks over the bloc's migration policy after Italian Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini announced the country would close its ports to NGO ships transporting migrants. EU boss Jean-Claude Juncker called the mini-summit billed as an informal working meeting to take place before a summit at the end of this month. The emergency meeting will also be an opportunity for German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who faces a crisis at home over migration which threatens to tear apart her coalition government, to find possible solutions. On arrival, Mrs. Merkel said, "One large part of today's discussions will be protecting the outside borders and how we reduce illegal migration to Europe. There will also be a discussion about secondary migration. How do we treat each other fairly inside Schengen? How can we find a reasonable balance?" Ms. Merkel has been backed into a corner by her coalition counterpart, who demanded Germany's spike in immigration be curbed by sending asylum seekers back to the EU member state they initially registered in as part of a crackdown on migration.